Beautiful.
A drone, a phone and a regular camera go head to head in 3 locations. Which shoots the best picture? It's your vote that counts here on the Drone and Phone Shootout. Welcome to Drone and Phone and a brand new concept, the Drone and Phone Shootout. We have 3 cameras, a drone, a phone and a camera in 3 locations trying to outdo each other and get the best picture. Let me bring in the 2 other photographers who'll be working with me. Jack, today you're going to be using the DJI Air. Okay. And Dave, you have, as always, as all good photographers, many cameras. You've got 2 here. I can only let you use 1, so take your pick. Going to be the Nikon D5000. Jack, what am I going to be shooting with today?
You'll be using the Honor V10.
The Honor V10. I've started to break his equipment already. It's part of the plan. Honor V10. Okay, that's my phone. I've not used this before, so it's going to be interesting. As always, a thanks to our sponsors, to DJI for lending us that drone, to Honor V10 for giving us a phone, and as always to our bag sponsor, Osprey. Right, I think it's time to get going. Let the battle begin.
Yeah, ready? Let's go.
Our first location is Waterfall Bay Park. It's a bright morning.
How are you doing?
Badly.
With the light unlikely to change much in the 1 hour we have to take a picture in the small bay. I was not happy with the location. So Jack chose the locations. As you can see, the waterfall is not in sun, so I'm sure it comes out later or it goes into sun later, but pretty bad location scouting if you ask me. Well, I'm grumbling at Jack. Dave has started straight away on getting a good angle on the waterfall. Jack, meanwhile, is ignoring me and setting up the drone to get it into the sky.
You can see the image already. I will get the bigger picture than you guys. I'll fly up.
Jack may have an advantage on height, but he forgot to bring an SD card and will have to rely on the internal memory of the drone. Dave is also coming up against problems.
I really struggled with the waterfall because I got, first of all, tied up in a wrestling match with a tripod, and then I got lost in my camera settings and failed miserably with the shot I was trying to do because I was trying to do something smart and clever that I'd never done before. That didn't go well at all.
Yes, Dave does not have a neutral density filter to make the long exposures he wanted, so he's going to have to make do without. As Dave and Jack concentrate on the waterfall, I went to look around the bay, first looking at some close-ups of religious icons that are on the overlooking hill, and then over to a disused shelter. This looks really nice. I just need to find on my phone if there's any way of doing a panorama, because one of the good things about the mobile phone is that you don't have a very wide angle lens, but you can use that panorama function to get these super wide shots, which I love. With the 1 hour countdown almost up, Dave is quickly catching up. So Dave has just seen me take my picture, and there he is duplicating it, like as if it's his own idea. Shocking. 1 hour up, and it's time to move to the next location. Exchange Square in Central is buzzing with activity during the week, particularly around midday, when people from all walks of life spill out into the streets for a quick bite to eat.
Right, secret location number 1, here we go.
With just 60 minutes to get a winning shot, Dave is excited as he knows the area well and immediately sets off.
Oh, I forgot to say, Jack can't get up here because he's not a member.
As Dave takes off to scoop the competition, Jack is left to ponder how he's going to use the drone in a crowded area where it's unsafe to fly.
My biggest challenge with the drone to take a picture is I cannot fly here. So I have to be really creative to aim the angle and also control it. Not easy, but still I think I got a very, very nice shot. Challenge is on.
Meanwhile, I'm taking advantage of the phone to blend into the crowd and shoot on the street. The Honor V10 comes with lots of preset modes which are fun to play with in a colourful environment like Central. With half an hour gone and just 30 minutes left to shoot, Dave is down from his perch and up another. Jack is taking it a little easier. Time for sandwiches, Jack?
Yeah. I already got the best shot, so I have lots of time.
As the clock struck 2, it was time for a quick break before the short bus ride to the final shoot location. Okay, we're at the last location up. the peak looking over Victoria Harbour. It's not the clearest of days, but we're going to be here through sunset and into early light. Advantage Jack for this one, eh Jack?
I'm gonna fly above.
He's got a drone, he can go all sorts of places. Poor me and Dave are going to be stuck probably here. And you've got a good camera and mine doesn't work so well in low light, so let's see how we do. The view over Hong Kong at sunset from Victoria Peak is legendary. But can one of the three of us come up with something truly special? Jack is putting extra energy into this one.
Well, DJ and Augie, they went to have a cup of coffee before sunset. It's still an hour and a half. I'm going to my secret shooting spot to get the beautiful sunset.
6 o'clock and the sun starts to fade. Dave is wrestling with his tripods again.
I'm going to go back to doing it how it was.
And Jack is still complaining about his SD card.
I only got 8 gigabyte of internal space from this Mavic Air. I ran out of space in no time. The view is stunning, but I know I have no space.
I've given up with the sunset and I am now hoping for a good night shot. Fortunately, this has given me some time to find more advanced features on the phone. What I found with the phone is it does have a pro photo setting, which means I can manually adjust the shutter speed, which means I can do a much slower exposure, which I'm going to need when the light goes down. It might give me an option even with the small sensor. It's also in Pro Photo I can get a RAW file, which will give me more options when it comes to editing. So we're just waiting for the sun to go down over there, hopefully the mist to clear and the lights to come up over the city.
We are stuck in tripod down again.
Half an hour later and time's up for the last location shoot. Jack, Dave and I make our way back to the road. It's been a long day and the friction has not subsided. Guys, just complaining all the time. Everything is always my fault and then the wrong thing.
There was one here that was quite nice with just the contrast of different shapes, textures and colours. Was another one I liked with the bubbles coming off it, and it had a nice kind of golden hue underneath as well. So a couple of interesting ones just at the end with a bit of wildlife that came into it. So it was okay, but I found it a little bit flat and a little bit dull. It wasn't a particularly popping image. I'm going to go for that one, I think.
I started, as you can see up here, let me just go back to my original pictures here, with just trying to shoot the waterfall. So these first shots here, I'm just literally trying to play around with the waterfall. Now, part of the problem was that the waterfall was half in sunlight and half out. Also no ND filters, so I went for the opposite. I tried to freeze the action with fast shutter speeds and found a manual way of doing that with the V10, which was very nice. So if I come over here to my choice image, for this one is this wide angle panorama of inside this little disused building that have been nicely graffitied, plus some old fishing boxes and other debris in there.
I took the best advantage of this location because the drone will give you overall, and my winning shot, the one which I chose eventually, and give you the whole perspective of this waterfall area. It's quite beautiful, and you notice the second pool here.
One of the things I wanted to play around with was the ability to do these multiple exposures, and the way that you do that is literally with that same panorama that I used in the first one, but as you pan, you have people walking through that. It creates something quite unique. See this guy with a very bright coat, a Prada bag and this top hat that made him look quite unique, and then just started following him and shooting as I went, trying to find an opportunity. Now, fortunately for me, he turned down a little alleyway here, and I'm now looking to try and find a silhouette where I can really emphasize the shape of his hat. I saw this very nice shot. Again, you can see how many frames I took of it, where there's a poster and a guy leaning up against it on his phone, and then another man comes up to take a photograph. And there's a really nice frame actually when he does that, right here, where he's taking a picture looking up, and we have the other guy behind it. Another one here with the tram as it went past. But the shot that I've chosen for this particular one is one of the multiple exposures. I did have a few, but this was the one that I chose.
That was hard with the drone in Central. No way gonna fly there, no way. I met a whole group of photographers. Actually, they're tourists, but they're all having a very good camera, each of them. So I asked them to get a bit of interaction with me.
This one is where I went to try and get one up on Jack, because I figured that if I can get up to a private club, which is a gym I'm a member of, then there's a lovely view down over the whole of Hong Kong and it can get a really nice cityscape shot. Unfortunately, on this day, the windows were completely covered with filth and dirt, so it didn't quite work out as I'd hoped. I'm going to go with this one. So on one of the central zebra crossings, I slowed the shutter speed down a little bit and got this mix of kind of blurry shapes moving, but when I look at the photo, at least there's something really interesting going on inside it. And it makes you just want to kind of look at it a little bit more, for me anyway. So that's my choice for that one.
This is plain picture. I will adjust the color and all that. A little bit gray, but you still see a nice, beautiful sunset overlook from the West Highland towards Changzhou and Lankou.
This was quite nice. It kind of caught just that time between day and night, so it wasn't pure nighttime, but at the same time it still captured the essence of some of the glow from the city.
This is really where I was at my most disadvantage, because I was shooting with a phone. We were on low light and a fixed vantage point, so not as much as I could hope to. But the phone did, in fact, did remarkably well. Very similar to the kind of pictures that David was shooting right next to me. It's a classic photograph, but what I was surprised at is even when it got dark, the colors here still held up, and we don't have too much noise in the sky. A little bit, but even on this big screen, that is really quite an acceptable picture, particularly coming from a small phone. But again, the one I chose was a slightly different composition, where I saw people, there was a lot of photographers up there, but photographers in front of me, and I managed to get up a wall behind and bring them into my foreground and silhouetted them against the backdrop. Okay, so now it's your turn to tell us what you think. You're the judges and we want you to decide which is the best picture from each location. To have your say, go to the Facebook poll at facebook.com/droneophone and vote. There's a link in the show notes. I'm DJ Clark and this is Drone and Phone.